So this is into action, a pathway from here to there. We're going to offer that, you know, Gottlieb Initiative and myself, we'd be glad to advise and present this idea and closely advise and even serve in any sort of role and that would take up this threefold commonwealth among the Free Nations Forum or Free Russia Forum, or any other nation state, any other listener, any other organization or state which sees these videos and understands it, will take it up. We'd be glad to closely advise. And that advising, it could look it could look at any number of different ways as long as the principles are understood. And that's the picture that we're going towards. The aesthetic could be different, the terminology can be different, but the structures, separation of culture, state, and economy are essential. Without that, you have no threefold commonwealth. Having said that, there's something like there's also kind of mental blockage or like a soul in people's psyche. There's sort of a blockage of not understanding this separation of powers. And so there's this what I presented, it's vulnerable just bouncing off, just bouncing off and not sinking in. And some of it is some of the ideas or terminology may be some it's political science, and some listeners may not understand it. There may be a language barrier, and but there's also something more than that. And like I'd offer that unless a person has kind of unfolded themselves and articulated their own interior life, like such as being able to tell the difference between their thinking, their feeling, and their actions, um, then it's harder to understand this idea, the threefold idea, much less passionately support it or enact it or embody it. And so we are willing to even offer sort of inner personal path towards understanding this. And it's an ethical path. We call it the 12-fold way because it offers 12 recoveries. And we here's the logo of the Free Nations Forum. We can adapt this to any movement or culture. This is this 12-fold logo, the 12 dodecagram for the 12 recoveries. This is a Free Nations way, but this 12-fold way can be adapted for any culture. We're just addressing the Free Nations Forum right now. So this would be a movement for recovery and renewal of the free nations, a post-nation state Russia. And the first recovery is substance recovery, either abstinence from alcohol or a daily moderation. The second recovery is recovery from codependency or family dysfunction. And it's about self-care, becoming our own individual. The third recovery is recovery from overeating or undereating and eating disorders. All this pathway is about becoming a healthy person so that we can understand this threefold commonwealth and become passionate about a healthy future and to become willing to embody it as a parallel society. Food and eating, it's a part of becoming a healthy person. The third recovery is about refraining from harmful eating every day. The fourth recovery is about relational and sexual conduct, the dark side. It's one of the dark sides often within the human psyche. It's a powerful creative force, and this fourth recovery is about recovering health in that sphere of life. The fifth recovery is about emotional and physical wellness. That means mental health, also self-care, becoming physically well, even physical fitness and exercise. Um, the fifth recovery. So the first five recoveries we call those are the big five wounds of humanity: substance misuse, family dysfunction, and also codependency. Food and eating. There's overeating or destructive eating, or eating disorders. The fourth wound is sexual conduct or sexual misconduct, and also in relationship misconduct. And the fifth is about emotional imbalance and also physical unwellness. Those are the big five, what we call the big five wounds of humanity. And probably every human being could become healthier, could probably see a way in which we can improve in each of those five wounds, and myself included. And it's a pathway. I'd be a hypocrite to offer a pathway which I hadn't worked on myself. And I'm still working on it, of course. But now, after the big five wounds, we shift to recovering three fields of culture, which are traditionally art, science, and religion. Every human being is an artist. That's what Joseph Beuys said, the German artist who was advocate for the threefold Commonwealth. He said every human being is an artist, and every human being is also a scientist, and every human being has their own worldview. So there's recovery 6 and 7 and 8. I mean, yes, 6, 7, and 8 and 9 are about those three fields of culture. The sixth recovery is a transition between personal recovery and those three cultural fields. This is about a new story, a gnosis, a meditative path about mythology, that will be powerful enough to fuel the free nations. Each one of these nations that are a member of the Free Nations Forum, each of you have your own mythology, your own gnosis, your own stories. I mean, deep, ancient stories. And what we offer is a way of coordinating those stories, which we call eleutherosophhy, which means it's Greek for freedom. Eleutheria is freedom. That comes from the Free Nations, the name of the Free Nations. So it's the wisdom of freedom, eleutherosophy, eleutherosophia. This is the gnosis of freehood or freedom. The word freedom has been misused so much by especially Americanism, that we need a fresh word. So freehood is another word for freedom. And so eleutherosophy, it is a storytelling framework for empowering and bringing together the national mythologies of all these free nations in a powerful way. And then we move on to what I said, the three fields of culture, art, science, and religion. So recovery 7 is recovering our own personal faith or life stance. It's not only about religion, it's about our worldviews in general, which includes religion, our faith, but also includes philosophy and secular life stances. And also includes the native faiths, such as the native Slavic faith, native Finnic faith, all of these are within the realm of worldviews. And the seventh recovery, we take action to recover our own worldview, whatever that may be. The eighth recovery is about taking action to recover our interest in science and the humanities. And all of us have our own interests in things we love, the studying, and we're passionate about the lore of various fields of knowledge. And so in that sense, we're all scientists, even if our interest is like studying sports statistics. That's a kind of science. It's an interest in it's a field of study. The ninth recovery, we begin to recover our artistry and our sense of play, our sense of fun. Arts, of course, aren't all about fun, but they're related to the sense of playfulness and creativity. If the previous recovery is about recovering our powers of understanding, this recovery is about recovering our powers of creativity. Yes, so it includes arts, but also games, play, and sports. That's all included in this ninth recovery. The 10th, and now the 10th, 11th, and 12th recovery are about the macrocosm, the societal, the social body. But it's still, we take actions at an individual level, even in those recoveries. So the 10th recovery is about, it's about the rights commonwealth. It's about equality. It's about taking some sort of action, or even if it's just reading a book about the sphere of rights. That includes peace and justice and community. The rights commonwealth. Whereas the previous three recoveries are about the cultural commonwealth. And then the 11th recovery is taking some action, no matter how small, in economic renewal. And this could very well be our own personal financial literacy, or getting a hand on our own personal budgeting. But in a bigger sense, it's about the economic commonwealth, and unitist economics. It's understanding and beginning to sort of go in that direction ourselves as individuals. And the 12th recovery, the capstone, is taking an action towards the threefold commonwealth. It could be just reading a book about the threefold commonwealth, watching some of watching a video about it, when we offered a big series of them just now. But the key action there would actually be to symbolically renounce the nation state, and to symbolically, at least, join the threefold commonwealth. And we are imploring and begging the Free Nations Forum to become a threefold commonwealth. We're imploring the Free Russia Forum to also cooperate with the Free Nations Forum to form a threefold commonwealth in exile, or in opposition, a threefold commonwealth instead of the Russian Federation. And so this 12th recovery would be one of the potential actions, and each individual on this path, this 12-fold path, would be free to take their own actions in each of these fields. And I have taken an action, at least one action in each of these fields, on my own personal path. But for this 12th recovery, one ideal action would be to symbolically join this threefold commonwealth, to symbolically join this transformed Free Nations Forum, the threefold commonwealth. And then you could grow in this way. The Free Nations Forum, in other words, the threefold commonwealth, would grow and grow as more and more people took this path, this Free Nations way. and made their lives better in real practical ways, and began to unfold their own insides through taking these 12 actions, which includes the three commonwealths. And so we offer that as a pathway for tailor-made, bespoke, customized for the Three Free Nations Forum, a pathway that leads from here to there at the individual level, and then provides a way for the Free Nations Forum to grow and grow as a threefold commonwealth in exile. And I say when it's customizable, the Free Nations way is one version of this 12-fold path. But I and we, the Gottlieb Institute, are be happy to craft a customized 12-fold pathway for each of the free nations themselves, in possibly in alliance with each other. But each would have its own aesthetic. The Free Russian way would be focused. We offer that to the Free Russia Forum. It would have its own logo. To back up a little bit, see this dodecagram up here, this 12-fold star and circle. The logo of any entity can go in there. And so this Free Russian way, we would plug in the Free Russia Forum logo in there, or whatever symbology the Free Russian Forum is advocating, and customize these 12 recoveries in a Russian context, Russian national context, Free Russian context. Same for all the Free Nations Forum nations: a Free Byarmian way, a Chernozemian way, Ingrian way, Karelian way, and for each of these, you remember the transition, the sixth recovery, the recovery in the middle, is delving into making a sort of gnosis, or a universal mythology, a philosophy, an imagination that will, a story that will fuel this pathway, which draws on the existing mythology. So for each of these, let's say the Free Smalandian way, we would draw from Smolensk history and legend, and the various meditants who have been associated with the city and region of Smolensk, and tie those together into a sort of Smalandosophy, if you will. Each of these would have its own gnosis. To go from the top, you'd have, for the sixth recovery of the Russian way, you'd have a Russosophy. For a Byarmian way, you'd have the Byarmosophy. Next, you'd have a Chernozemosophy, and so forth. Ingrosophy, Karelosophy, Murmanosophy, Muscovosophy, Nenetsosophy, Pomorosophy, Samiosophy, Smalandosophy, Novgorodosophy, Vepsosophy, and a Votiosophy. Like we said, in this, we don't believe that people will even understand the threefold separation of powers unless they themselves have ethically clarified their insides, and through action, and differentiated their concepts, their feelings, and their actions, to be able to perceive those threefold powers within themselves, to untangle themselves. That's what this 12-fold pathway offers. The 12-fold way leads from here to there. In closing, the Gottlieb Institute is willing to serve as a primary advisor to the Free Nations Forum, also to the Free Russia Forum, in forming an actual parallel threefold commonwealth. Contact me, email me. There's my email address, Gottlieb-Institute at protonmail.ch. CH is the Swiss suffix. And we're going to post these videos on our website. Don't forget, here's a photo of the book we wrote about applying these principles in Ukraine. You can find that as a free PDF at our website, www.gottlieb.institute. There's no .com, it's just .institute. There you see the cover of the Ukrainian historical homeland as a cultural space is restored to its World War I boundaries, World War I claims or aspirations, and the state is stabilized. The boundaries are stabilized, and in the occupied areas become a bi-state condominium, a threefold condominium with possibly a UN referendum later, but with the threefold separation of powers retained even afterward. So write to me. Here's also my personal email address, traversetravis@protonmail.com. Any national group or even a political party or any sort of group, a religion or a philosophy, or any sort of group, we're willing to craft. We want to be willing to help you create a 12-fold pathway it's an ethical pathway of comprehensive individual and national renewal regards, which will lead to cultural independence for any nation or any sort of cultural group, to the separation of nation and state, will lead to a threefold commonwealth in parallel, as a parallel society, as a supersessionist governance. It will, at least as a model. Let's do this. Together we can find a way. Thank you. Close this. Write to me. Good night.